Hi everyone, it's Anne. Welcome to my Flosstube channel. Today is Saturday, December 6th, 2018. Happy New Year to everybody, and I hope that you all had a great holiday season, whatever you celebrate. I thought I would check in and do a relatively quick update. Just to talk to you all about what I did for the end of 2017 and on into 2018 and my upcoming plans. So we had a very nice holiday. My mother-in-law was here for the day before Christmas Eve through till Tuesday afternoon. And then we took her back down. We're a 2-hour drive from our airport, so it's kind of like a half a day event to just get to the airport or get back from the airport, you know. So we took the day on Tuesday, pretty much went down, you know, had lunch, picked her up, brought her home, had a really, really nice Christmas. It was great to have my husband home. It was really nice. He was here for like 10 days, which was wonderful. We had a friend of mine over for Christmas dinner. She is someone who lives by herself, and she just had some surgery, and, you know, she didn't need to be spending the holidays cooking and on her feet, so we just had her over. It was very casual. It was just myself, my husband, my mother-in-law, and my friend. But that was nice. It was a really nice way to spend the holiday, and so I hope that you all had a great holiday celebration at your end too. And now if you're on the East Coast, I really hope you have some warm snugglies on, because it sounds like it's brutal. Oh, kitty visitor. She's actually up from her nap. That doesn't normally happen at 11 o'clock in the afternoon or in the morning. She's kind of a sleep all day sort of gal these days. Anyway. In other life news, let's see, my husband has gone back to the East Coast for work, kind of settled back in here post-holiday, you know, getting back into the groove of things. I took off Christmas Day and New Year's Day and the weekend right before, and then, you know, work my normal thing the other days. But he was off, and so he did some stuff with his mom. We took one day where I took off half a day. It was the Friday after Christmas, and we drove up to Taos. I have a client up there, so I dropped some yarn off for her, and we walked around the plaza, had lunch out. It was very nice because it's relatively warm here. It's in the 40s for daytime highs, which is actually pretty warm for us. We've had no snow. There's no snow on the mountains. It's been very dry. Let's see. I think that's kind of about it, but where we are. Thank you to everybody who sent me a Christmas card. I really appreciated that. It was lovely to you know, open those up. I have a whole little stack of them saved. They're in my Christmas box. I like to hang on to them, and then the next year it kind of helps me remember, like jog the memory. So I have those. We did pack away all our holiday stuff, actually pretty briskly, because I had to drive my husband down to the airport on New Year's Day. So we did that before we went, so he could help me kind of wrestle the tree down and all that stuff. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit about some Christmas acquisitions further on into the video, but I did want to say a big thank you to my December ATC swap partner, Tammy, in Florida. I hope you had a great Christmas. I'm not sure if she watches me, but if you do, hi, and thank you again for my package. That card that she sent me, it was a little, it was about this big Christmas tree cross-stitch card, which was adorable. That is packed away with the Christmas stuff, as is the ornament that she sent me. If you're interested in seeing either of those kind of live, hit up my Instagram account. Those came just before Christmas. And then she also included this great little kit. Super cute. I'm thinking I might do that, make it into an ornament, and do beads for the snowflake motifs. maybe do that for next year. That'd be kind of fun to have on the tree as a like 2017 into 2018 kind of thing. So anyway, thank you, Tammy. This is super cute. I loved everything that you sent me. Loved it. Thank you. Let's talk about what I've been stitching on. Where to start? Where to start? Let's start with the thing that I worked on fairly focusedly. Is that a word? Focusedly? In a fairly focused fashion. Just before Christmas and then into the beginning of January. And that is my Heaven and Earth mini Winter's Encounter artwork by Laura Prindle. I am stitching this on 25 Easy Guide. And again, it's the mini, so it's not huge. So this right here, hang on one second, there we go. Okay, this right here is the bottom of page 1, and this is the side of page 1, the edge of page 1. So I have this little corner right here left to finish. And that's, I mean, still 1,500 stitches, but I feel like I'm making really good progress on this. So this is the mane, the horse's mane, which you can see right there, kind of blowing in the breeze. I like this one because you kind of really, you start seeing the actual thing as opposed to 3 pages of barely there pink and blanc. So yeah, thumbs up for the mini on that. And this is basically the size it will be. You can see I have my top corner marked right there. So be a good size, easy to frame. Let's see. So I guess I should say I'm working this in the DMC threads, but I think most people do Heaven and Earth designs in the called for DMC threads because crazy to try to do a conversion, right? I will say that I am really enjoying doing this with kind of this step diagonal a la Jessie Marie. I like it because, okay, working all of this straight down, literally this is 2 colors. It is barely there pink and blanc. It is enough to make you go snowblind. And it's boring as all get out. However, because I'm working it on the diagonal, it's nice because like on this diagonal right here, I just started to see the horse's mane and some of these like tree or bushes in the background. So I could do kind of some boring pieces that went quick, and then I could fill in a little further down here and do some heavier confetti pieces that took longer but were way more interesting to stitch. And the same is true down here because this is blanc and a very, very, very pale silver gray. So not, you know, the most thrilling thing to work block after block after block on, but when you do it this way, which is similar to how Brian at Blitz Stitch has commented, he likes to see the pattern kind of emerge as he's working down the diagonal. Now, I'm not doing this using his technique where it's a true diagonal. You can see I'm actually doing a block by block kind of thing. Waste not method, which is working really great. And let's see, needle minders. This is from Denke Designs, a gift from my friend Lisa. And this is from Heaven and Earth Designs. I don't know if you can see it, it's got a lot of glare. But it's a blonde hugging her horse, who reminds me of my digger, and this reminds me of my Ben. So yeah, this I worked on pretty much exclusively from December 20th through the 5th. I've worked on this every day. I've put at least 100 stitches in this every day. And so my goal for the year is to get a page finish, and if I can get a little further along on that, that would be great. But this will come back in, not next, it'll be in 2 weeks. I'll work on this again. So I'm not sure if I'll talk to you before I restart this. But I've got 2 other projects in between, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I think I can easily get these last 1,500 stitches done this month, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to continue working on this for the monthly or the winter seasonal sal, or if I'm in full coverage fanatics, or if I'm going to do something like move on to the elements. I could probably use this one for air too. We'll see. Both of my choices to work on that are full coverage pieces in January are things that would double dip. So, I mean, this would go for winter, or it would go for the air, the seasonal, or the seasonal and the elemental quarterly sals. The other piece that will be coming out, not next week, but the following week, is 6 of Swords, which goes for either air or the fantasy, which is the monthly sal theme. So I've got lots of double dipping I could pick from. But anyway, there's where I am on that. Loving it. Really excited to work on it. I think I told you maybe last video or the video before that I had downloaded the spreadsheets that Brian at Blitz Stitch had graciously allowed people to hit his Google Drive and download the originals that he works from. Copies of the original, so you don't screw up his formulas. They're really in-depth, and I've been utilizing them to track this particular full coverage project just to sort of see how how the numbers go depending on, there's a huge difference in your finish time. I know this seems like you're going to think, well, yeah, of course, when I say this, but if you do 100 stitches a day, and here's your endpoint for how many stitches you have total to do. If you can do 200 stitches a day, it drastically cuts down your finish time. Like if I continue to work on this, which is about 75,000 stitches, give or take, because at that point, whatever. If I was to continue to work on this and do just 100 stitches a day, but every day, I would have this finished mid-January of 2019. So basically a year from now. If I were to do 200 stitches a day, every day, I could have this done by August. That seems crazy to me. August, that's like August of this year. So I'm trying very hard not to be like, a finish is in sight, because it's so not. I mean, it's so not. And realistically, I can't commit to always doing 200 stitches a day. So it's not like I would be able to get it done by August. So I'm trying not to think, okay, now all you have to do is just keep working on this and you'll have it finished. Yes, I could, but I'm trying to get off the crazy train a little. Okay, onward. Let's see, looking for my next piece. So I had kind of been doing like in bits and bobs. I had also been working on this piece, although this is the next piece up for my next 5-day rotation. It's February Wordplay by Brenda Gervais with a needle and thread. And I finished the January one last year. I actually have that out currently. So this is for February, and I'd like to get it done before February. So I thought, okay, if I put 5 days into it, I should be able to get it finished. So this is my current progress. And if you follow me on Instagram, or if you remember when I showed this in my prior video, there used to be flowers here, although not this little pot. There used to be red flowers here. I wound up ripping all of this and the flowers that lived here because I was off by 2 full stitches. Everything was over this way too far. So the progress has basically been ripping that and then reknitting the chocolates, the roses, and then I decided, just to make sure my placement was kosher, I would restitch this because I know where it lines up over the B in February. So 2 steps forward or 2 steps back and maybe 1 step forward is kind of where I am with this, but this is going to get 5 days starting today to work on. I also finished the little colonial dude except for his face. And so I've got the colonial lady. I've got these flowers to finish. I have the word love. I have the flowers down here as well as here, and then 1 other set of words. I'm pretty sure I can do that in 5 days. I would actually like to get this as a fully finished piece and have it done and out on my table upstairs for February. I will say, if you are stitching these, and I'm doing these almost all in the called for Gentle Arts threads. The only one I didn't have was the kind of bright red, but I had a Classic Colorworks that was very close, so I subbed that in, and I think the rest are all the same, or all as charted. If you decide to stitch this, just be aware. See these little shoes right here? These little lady shoes? Yeah. There's, I think, 8 stitches total. That's the only place you use that thread color in this entire design. There is no reason why they can't be the same color as the dude shoes or as the kind of dark, rusty key color. No reason. Don't buy that extra thread. Just use one of the other colorways. Okay. So 5 days on that. I'm going to try to have that finished and hopefully fully finished by the next time I talk to you all, which will be closer to the end of the month. All right. Then I had a New Year, New Start, which is not cross stitch, but it is still embroidery. And that is the gift that my nephews and sister-in-law and brother-in-law got me last year. It is a smaller piece from the Bayou Tapestry showing King Harold with his destrier and his falcon, his hunting falcon. It is produced by this company right here, www.bayoubroderie.com. They have all kinds of other kits. She has a store. I can't remember the name of the small town, but it is in France, and that is actually where my family visited and where they picked this piece up. So there are tons of great videos out on the web. I will link to the one that I used. The lady who owns this store does have instructional videos on the web, on YouTube, but they're French overdubbed in English, and I had a hard time. I watched hers, but I had a harder time like kind of syncing what she was doing with what the voiceover was saying. So I found a nice British lady whose videos are really well done. I will put a link to that one below. Found that extremely helpful to work the Bayou stitch is what it's called these days, but the stitch that they used to actually stitch the tapestry originally. So this came as a kit. It came with the fabric. It came with the threads, which are wool. And 1 page of instructions, which they're sort of guidelines. Let's say that. First off, they're all in French, and I don't read French. I have very little, like I have grammar school, some basic, like bonjour. That's about it. Anywho, if you watch the video and you decide you want to do this, that's really all you need. The instructions just give you like color placement so you can figure out what you're going to do. So this is where I am. So it comes printed on a linen, I believe it is, maybe a cotton linen blend, but the outline comes printed on. And I have started with Harold's sleeve. This will focus. Basically, to work the Bayou stitch, you're doing, the British lady said she sort of does it backwards, but I can see why she does it the way she does it. The original information on the French ladies' YouTube videos said to do all of the outline first and then fill in behind it. the British lady actually does the fill-in part first, and then she goes back over and outlines it. And her point was, this gives you a really nice clean edge because you're basically covering where you're going up and down with the thread with your outline. So if there's any that are a little bit uneven, it covers that up for you. So I opted to go with that since this is the first time I've done this particular embroidery technique. I used to do a lot of handwork, and I've done other sampler embroidery kind of things, but not this particular stitch. So to work this, you basically are filling in a certain direction with very long stitches. And it's kind of like a satin stitch, except instead of going down into the fabric and then kind of coming up at the next place, when you go down into the fabric, you come right up next to it. So I don't know if you can see on the back, there's not that extra thread that comes all the way back and sort of wraps around the back and makes almost like a cushiony look to it. This is a little bit flatter, but you work the stitches in the direction of the drape. So for instance, let's see if I can explain this better. Like for here on the horse, you're going to work the stitches so they come this way up to his kneecap, and then you work down this way, and then you work down his fetlock, so that the stitches are actually kind of creating some movement and some shaping. So you put the long stitches in, and then you go back and you do shorter couching stitches to hold those long stitches in place. I don't think it's going to show up. Not that you guys can see it. Yeah. Go and watch the British lady's video. You can actually see how it's supposed to work on that. So you do all of that in the color, whatever the main color is, and then you go back and you outline in a slightly contrasting color to delineate the shape. This is a very fast stitch. Obviously, the Bayou Tapestry is like 70 yards long or something like that. I mean, it's huge, absolutely huge. So those ladies had a lot of stitching to do and were interested in, you know, moving it along. So I've started to work on this. I don't have any, it's not part of my regular rotation. I'm just going to pull it out when I have a spare weekend and put a couple threads into it and work along and see how far I get. It's fun to do. It really is. So I'm enjoying that, and that is something else that I worked on these first couple days of the new year. So let's see. So for plans for the next couple of weeks, for the next 5 days, I'm going to be working on the February wordplay that you guys saw. After that, I'm going to spend 5 days on my Desert Mandala chatelaine, which I did not bring to show you because I figure you guys have probably already seen it or can Google it. I'll show it when it's been worked on. So that'll be the next 10 days. And then I'm going to tackle for the following 5 days my 6 of Swords project. And I know that there'll be some days then after that I probably won't get much stitching done because I'm going to be traveling. And so I'll just finish out the month working on my winter's encounter. Whatever I can get done on that is what I'll get done. Probably will talk to you guys before I leave, so I'll get you up to speed on everything else. All right, just a few other little things of note. I think I've mentioned before that I subscribe to this magazine, which I love. They had a great article on, let me get to it, the woman who does a lot of the embroidery for Game of Thrones, Michelle Carragher. So the article discusses like the motifs that she works on the pieces and kind of why they've chosen certain things that they've chosen. The embellishments, like that. There's some amazing close-ups. Let's see if the camera will actually pick that one up. The ribbon work and the other embroidery on that. And this one, that's the dire wolf. It's the House of Stark. Yeah. Beaded and metallic thread embroidery. Really, really, really love this article. It's so amazing. And so one of the nice things is like they show this bigger kind of full shot of the tunic. And then if you go over here, it actually shows close-ups of the birds and butterflies that are embroidered on it. Pretty amazing detail. So if you have not checked this magazine out, they do usually have a fair amount of crafty type stuff, that kind of thing, like not techniques or patterns, but informational. So this was the medieval issue, as you can read. Lots of good information in here. There's usually recipes. There's usually some things on the history behind certain traditions. This one also had one on a group of costumers who make primarily, although they do other things, medieval themed garments to wear. Let's see, this one was on a medieval apothecary, this particular article. Pictures are gorgeous. It's great eye candy. So if you like that sort of thing, you may wish to check them out. Okay, there's that. Finally, I did get a few things around the holidays for Christmas, or use gift cards to pick up. I am doing Stitch from Stash this year, so not really a lot of acquisitions going forward other than my monthly clubs. I'm going to try to kind of keep that narrowed down. My husband got me a new stand for Christmas, which I really like. I may do a separate video on that if there's interest, but it's a floor stand. And I wanted one that was sturdy enough that when 65 pounds of muscular dog flopped down onto my feet, that the stand would not move. And this one does that. It's great. I love it. Space for a magnifier lamp to attach, plenty of room to work, and has withstood the dog flop test. So 2 thumbs up. One thing I did get with some funds that I got for Christmas, I picked up the 4 seasonal samplers that are from the Cooler Design Studio. I got them as PDFs, so I don't have an actual printout of the cover page, if you will. I'm going to attempt to insert a photo here, but if that doesn't work, look at the end of the video and I'll stick them in there. It's the 4 winter, spring, summer, autumn Cooler Design Studio designs. Brian at Blitz Stitch has been working on the winter one. Stephanie over at Lindy Stitches has been working on the fall one. I think Jessie Marie has been stitching on the summer one and is maybe part of her Year of Whips. I haven't caught that. I haven't watched her video yet for her Year of Whips, so it may be in there. But anyway, I will either have just inserted a picture, or in a moment or two I will insert one at the end, depending on my technical expertise for that sort of thing. And then finally, I'm not sure where I was, but I was on Instagram or maybe Facebook, and I saw somebody working on this piece, which I fell in love with. It's called Santa on Reindeer here. It's a DesignWorks kit. And I found it on eBay, really pretty reasonably priced, where it was called Leap of Faith, Santa's Leap of Faith. So not sure, you know, what it's really referred to as. It's actually a Joan Elliott design. And I like the border, which will probably give me fits when I actually stitch it, but I like how it looks. And Santa, you know, riding a reindeer, because why not? So it comes with the 14 count Aida, which I probably will not use, and the threads, which I probably will use. Not sure if this is discontinued or whatever the deal is, but I thought that that would be kind of a cute companion piece to the 12 Days of Christmas. And so I found this on eBay, and then you know how eBay does where they're like, if you like this, we'd like to suggest you also spend your money on this thing. And I do not have the other one. It has not come yet. It was from a different seller, but it's in the same sort of vein, and it's an Icelandic Santa. So I thought if I did those all on the 22 count that I'm using for the 12 Days of Christmas, they'd wind up all being like 10 by 12s when they were framed, which would be a really nice threesome to have. With the three very similar looking Santas, even though the designers are not the same. This is Joan Elliott. I think the other is a Joan Elliott, and then the Jim Shore 12 Days of Christmas. So at any rate, that one came super quick. The seller did she must have put it in the mail like the day after I pulled the trigger on it, and it came priority, so it was here quick. The other one's on the slow boat somewhere, but should be here soon. So I have that to look forward to. And I think that's about it. I think I've covered everything. Anyway, I hope you guys are doing great. I've really enjoyed catching up with a lot of your end of the year videos, seeing what you have planned to work on in 2018. I hope that the year's been treating you right so far, that 2018's been rung in well, and that you've had some good stitching time over the holidays and still had time to do family stuff or celebrate in whatever way that you choose to. So I will be back, I think, a couple of weeks. It'll be before the end of January for sure, just to get you guys caught up, tell you what's going on from here, and I will talk to you then. So take care, everybody.